Yolan True and welcome to another exciting day in our galaxy. And today, in the last week before I go away for my surgery, I have another, let's say almost beginner's video for you again, because at a certain point in the game, I would say 90% of the first time player in this game will build the Saladin, because most start with the Federation when they play the game for the first time as their first faction. And the Saladin is quite a sight at these level ranges when you are on a server where a lot of people get into those shipyard levels at the same time. And then you'll see a lot of Saladins. And that's why I thought when I talk about certain ships and how to use them at a certain time in the beginning of the game, it's still very early when you get the Saladin. And that's why I start with the Saladin before I do some others later when I've recovered. And so I want to give you a little hint how to use your Saladin even better. The Saladin is an interceptor. That's a great ship. And the protector ability is not so bad as well in incursions, for example, because if you have the Saladin on your base during incursion, and when I'm filming this is 2 days before we have the next incursion, then you even can strengthen your station a bit. But that's not the really mean thing that you're using. The Saladin is a nice ship. You cannot take the whole damage you see there now. I guess there's a lot of my research in here. I think it was much lower at the time when I had the Saladin last. It's a bit longer ago, because I'm playing on this server now for, I think in 3 months it will be 3 years that I'm on this server already. So it's quite some time, and I'm moving up in the G6 levels at the moment. So it's sometimes a bit hard to remember everything. Someone asked me something recently about a very, very early time in the game, and I honestly didn't know anymore. But that happens. At some point, I might start playing the game on another server again, because I want to play with a different tactic then or whatever. But in this time, I stick to mine, and I'm still looking forward to G7 at some point. But nevertheless, many of you will be in the situation right now where you just build your Saladin and are working your way through the galaxy and trying to do the best of it. And for the Saladin, I can really tell you that to make the best of it, you should work on crits at what that is one of the two aspects, and survivability. The Saladin, some people, I heard them say it's kind of a glass cannon or something. There must be some English term that some people must understand. I really had to think about it. It can hit hard if you get down the enemy fast, but if you get beaten, it might blow up too quickly. So you want to work on the survivability, and you want to work on the critical damage. Yesterday we talked about hull breach. Hull breach is something that you really should use on the Saladin if you can, in combination then with critical damage from officers and critical chances from officers that trigger that. That's why, for example, they say that one of the crews or some of the officers I talked about yesterday in the hull breach video really do apply well to the Saladin as well. And one of them, for example, is Gorkon. We talked about him yesterday, about the causing the hull breach. As a very early officer, you probably will have at the point when you have the Saladin, and then officers like Onegard Worf, who, if you play against players, will give you the critical hit chance. In that case, if you use the ship for PvP, and Kuron is another one that can give you some quicker recharge. No, what is it in English? Recharge your weapons. For example, if you don't have Gorkon in this case, to get the hull breach and use Belana, then you might want to recharge your weapons faster. The point is, with a Saladin, you want to strike hard and you want to survive. And so there are also combinations that you can use with Kirk, Spock, and Khan. In this case, Kirk and Spock are kind of the survivability guys, although it's not an explorer. They will not have the big explorer bonuses, but morale still is something that boosts your own ship. And didn't want to use Grush. And then Khan, for example, once again brings the critical hit chances again that I was talking about. So you need crits and survivability. So a combination of Kirk, Spock, Khan is a possibility, because survivability plus Khan with the crits. Gorkon, Kuran, and the normal Worf is a thing, but of course the main PvE crews that everybody is looking for in the lower range levels, that is Pike, Moreau, and usually you would use Chen, but in this case on the Saladin, Pike, Moreau, Talon is a really nice thing, because Talon cuts the energy costs against explorers. For example, if you're fighting a lot of explorers, although the interceptor is usually used against battleships, but the PMC and PMT are really working well on the Saladin as well. That's the reason why with the Saladin you can go quite an amount of levels before you then go to get the Enterprise, the D4, and so on, to continue with the game. That's why I always jumped the rare ships in this level range, and just went with the Saladin for a lot of levels, and it's a great ship for that. But you really have to think about the crews here, and you need to have a very good look at investing in the upgrades. I can't show you that because I don't have a Saladin at the moment. The weapons and the warp modules are really expensive, and unless you have some very urgent missions you want to do, start with the weapons and then especially the hull before you do the warp engines, etc. Was also very expensive. Because you need to strike hard and kill the enemy quickly, and then survivability. That's why weapons first, hull then, and then later the rest of it, so that you really know what you're doing, that you really use your resources as effectively as possible, and then you can do the rest. I did upgrade the Saladin a lot because I used it for a long time, because I skipped the rare ships. But if you want to go to a rare ship or whatever, don't upgrade the Saladin too much in the first place. You can do that later for scrapping again if you need that for a later ship, but not right from the start. So really have a very good look at it. And on the mid-levels, it's also a good PvP ship. But once again, make sure you put crit on it and survivability if you go against other players. But it's a good minor hunter as well, to be honest. But nevertheless, really make sure that you put, and I repeated that about 10 times now, but that's the important part. Use crits and survivability. And for example, the crews I talked about, and then you make the best out of your Saladin. And if you want to add something, please write in the comments below the video and on Discord. And if you want to see another video right now, the next one is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.